you know, as an amateur aspiring to be a pro bodybuilder, you have to continue being smart. Your job enables you to do your hobby, so your job has to be first. You know, when I first started competing, I was a police officer, you know, and I had to pay my bills that way. And all while I was an amateur trying to compete, and when I won the USA, I was a bouncer at nightclubs. So I had to still go and work, you know, and you know, fortunately, like I said before, by the grace of God, my hobby became my business, where I stopped having to do all these other things, and all I did was train, and I was sponsored by Weider and Biochem and companies like that, where I could make a living. But until then, I mean, the media only knows about me once I won the USA, and that's when I got on the map of bodybuilding. But they don't know that I had been training since I was 13 years old, working in gas stations and doing whatever I could, throwing a paper or whatever I had to do to be able to make money. And a lot of times I barely had even money to feed myself, because I didn't make enough money. But it's just, you have to just struggle, you have to dream. But at the end of the day, what you have to conceive is that you may love this sport, but the sport may not love you back. And that's a hard thing to accept. And if it is that way, then you have to switch your mentality. Okay, I love doing this, but I have to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work, I'm going to pay my bills and take care of myself or my family or whatnot, and I'll continue doing this as a love and a hobby. And it's never going to be a means of making a living. And that's just a harsh reality. Listen, I love football. I wasn't good enough to be a pro. So I love football, but football didn't love me back the same way. So I had to find what loved me also, and luckily I found bodybuilding, and I was able to do okay with it. But you have to recognize what your abilities are and what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and sometimes you might not like that answer, but it's reality, you know, it's reality. So this is like one of my favorite exercises I like to do. Again, I'm going to do it unilateral. You can easily do it with both and contract here. But again, I like to concentrate on one body part at a time. So similar to what we did here, I'm going to grab it a little higher because it forces me to stretch. Instead of here, I don't get as much stretch out of it. So I grab it a little higher and I lean forward. I'm going to keep my chest on here, and I'm going to pull all the way back here instead of raising back and arching this way. So I'll keep my chest here, stretch all the way completely here, engage my lat first and contracting here, and then all the way back.
Интересная, даже я бы сказал, своеобразная техника выполнения упражнений. Берется флекс достаточно высоко, аргументирует он это тем, что при таком положении руки максимально растягивается широчайшее, но самое главное это упор груди. То есть флекс наставит на том, чтобы грудь была максимально прижата.
If you need to, put one leg forward for more leg jerk, but this is not heavy. It's not heavy, so yeah. And again, just contract and pulling all the way back. Yeah, good. You'll feel it's on a different angle from using this, from using the other machine. 5, I think. 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way back. 10.
Ну, честно сказать, не мой вариант выполнения. Я все-таки привык немножко отклоняться, чтобы чувствовать низ широчайших. Но Бог говорит, значит мы делаем.
1. Remember, contract here first, then here. Here first, then here. Good. 3.
Сначала широчайшее, затем руки.
5.
Не сказать, что я не чувствую,
6.
я чувствую. Но
7.
немножко другие участки.
8. 9. 10.
Да, больше нагрузка смещается на верх спины, нежели я акцентировал на низ широчайший. Okay. Maybe
We
wait.
put on more? Yeah, no problem. When you want to do another 45 or 35? 45 or 35? Okay.
Yes.
Same thing. As you see, I put my foot here and I try to stretch back to give me good leverage on a pull here instead of being closer.
Флекс обращает внимание на положение обязательно ног. Одна нога у него прилично так сзади. Таким образом он добивается максимального сокращения, максимального растяжения.
Groovy. Let's go, baby. Let's go. And again, you wanna try to keep your bicep out of it as much as possible. So again, you don't see me going here first. I'm going here first. Lat first, 4, 5, come on, 6, 7, come on, lat first, 8, 9, 10. You know what you'll find is that as the back gets weaker, the biceps wants to start to do more and you have to mentally say no and continue. Yeah, it's hard, but it's that's what I mean before by it's a mental thing. Because it's easier to start pulling here, you know, once the back gets weak, but you have to say no and mentally say, okay, no, because immediately the bicep wants to go here. So now it's time to go eat. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, my diet is really strict, but what I like to do, and I don't talk about this too often, but I like to throw people off. So maybe if I knew I was going to be in public, I would diet really hard and I wouldn't have any cheat days. So when I would go in public and on camera, okay, I can eat a pizza. So everybody would think, okay, he cheats on his diet, he's not that serious. But when I go back home, I'd be very serious about my diet and everything. So for me, I very seldom had cheat days. And then also you have to understand, I went 0 carbs for months at a time. So when I would have like a pizza or a hamburger, it was nothing extraordinary for me because I would go over a month with no carbs whatsoever. So that way I could balance my diet off and everything like that. Now, you know, like I said, I'm 50 years old. You know, I pretty much eat what I want, but I understand I can only do that so often. So normally when I'm at home, I have a very strict diet and everything that I go by, but I do it that way so when I can travel, I can eat what I want. I don't have to be restricted because honestly, when I'm dieting, I'm not extremely happy because I'm eating for nutritional value, not for taste. So who's happy? You want to eat what you like, it makes you feel better. So when I'm traveling, what I try to do is I eat for taste. Therefore, I can feel great, I can be more active, and I can interact with the people and my fans. So I try not to diet too harshly when I'm actually traveling and everything like that. As far as my dietitians, I've always been an athlete since I was younger. When I was training in martial arts, I had a martial artist, I had an instructor that helped me do the things. So I'm very good at following instructions. What I understand also is when you're a competitor, sometimes you have distorted vision, meaning you may think one thing is one, but it's not really that. So you need eyes outside looking at you to tell you what is what. So my dietitian, I work with Chad Nichols, who I contribute to a lot of my success in bodybuilding. No, I pretty much worked with Chad Nichols my whole career as a professional, and I learned a lot from him. And one of the interesting things about Chad was he didn't consider himself a guru, and he didn't consider himself that he made me who I was. He was just a part of a team that did it. What I don't understand about a lot of the dietologists now, they call themselves gurus, and as if they know everything. And my question is, okay, if you're an all-seeing guru, how come you can't make yourself be a champion? How come you can't develop a diet where you can be the champion and you walk on stage? So the relationship Chad and I had is he helped me to understand that I needed to learn my body and able to help him help me, because he's not with me 24 hours a day. And he doesn't know how I feel. He doesn't know how I feel when I eat this and when I eat that. So one of the bigger things that he taught me is that I needed to learn my body and how I feel at certain times of the day. And then I would give him that information. He would come up with a diet more or less for me. So it was a team that was coherent, that we had to work together and able to produce this product instead of him just telling me what to do and that was it. So and we became great friends after that, and still are to this day. So for me, it was a success story, and I don't think that I would have been able to achieve what I did as easily if I didn't have him in my corner. No, honestly, I really focused on trying to get bigger because at the time it was led to believe that the reason why I wasn't winning is because I wasn't big as Ronnie. So being that Ronnie was number one, we were all chasing the image that he was. What I've learned now is that was a huge mistake for me, because that wasn't my gift, to be the biggest person on stage. My gift was my round muscle bellies and my condition and small waist and joints. So the first part of the question, I tried to get bigger and bigger, but I've never been a big eater. For me, eating 7,000 calories a day is what I got up to. That was always a task for me. It wasn't easy doing that. So because I'm naturally not a big eater, I'm naturally not a big person, I never had the huge appetite where I got really obese or fat or anything like that. So it was probably more or less a blessing for me that I always had a small appetite.
Интересен твой ответ.
No, I always get that still. And so the facts are, and one thing interesting about me is I think it's a newer generation of followers and bodybuilders, right? One thing they forget about me is I'm probably known to be one of the most honest bodybuilders on the planet. I mean, I wrote a book about my life, and I told all the most horrific and bad things I ever done. So for me to be that honest about who I was as a child and being suicidal at 13 years old, how many times I tried to kill myself when I was younger, I tried to kill myself continuously up into my 30s. For me to talk about such horrific things, being sexually molested and homeless and not having money, why would I lie about something so trivial? It doesn't make sense to me. So what I said, and still what is a fact, thank you, is I tried Synthroid before. I tried Synthroid back then, I think it was like 98 or something like this. It was a big fat, so I tried it. Actually, it was more damaging to my physique than positive. And I think I tried it twice or something like that in my my shoulders and my biceps, and I didn't use it anymore because it actually took away my definition and everything. So what's interesting now is people still accuse me of using a thing because my arms look freakish. But if they were really historians of the sport, they would know since I was an amateur. I mean, back when I was just called Skinny Kenny, all I had was biceps and triceps. That's just my gift. Like this guy here probably always had calves since he was a kid. So it's interesting that people think that I would still need to do those things at the age of 50. What do I actually have to prove? I don't take any of the drugs I used to take back then. I mean, you know, Synthroid wasn't the only drug I tried when I was younger. I tried a lot of drugs that I no longer do use. So I don't understand why people would think having big arms would define who I am now as a 50-year-old man. I mean, fuck, I got to be out of my mind to even want to do those things that I did back then. So, you know, but again, I think it's more so the younger generation and that looking at me and think of those things right now. But I could care less. Like I said earlier, I don't care about being big. I just want to be healthy, period. Size doesn't mean anything to me. I did that already. So I don't have anything to prove to anybody anymore. One of the other interesting things is back in the 90s, I can probably name off about 60 competitors who competed against me and who were beneath me who use the same things as I do. But like I said, I'm just brutally honest. It is what it is. You know, I don't have anything to hide. So because I'm so honest and I admit a lot of the things I did, good and bad, people have it locked in their minds that I still have to do that. But I do understand, because now there's a new era where guys, all they do is they don't train hard. They just shoot and they inject. So today's generation of bodybuilders, because I have all these round muscle bellies and it looks crazy, they think, okay, you must do it too, because other people do that. But I understand that. But if you go back in time and look at my photos of even back in '93, before these drugs were even invented, go back even further and look at when I won Mr. California back in '89. That's all I had was big round biceps and triceps. So the other thing is, it's funny to me, if you look at anybody who currently uses this quote-unquote drug, Synthroid, their muscles don't move. You look at my muscle, it completely moves. It expands, it goes down. There's no lumps. It's movable. My tricep, it moves, but I get it. When you look at it, it's just round. So people are like, oh, that can't be real. It's real. It moves. You can see even the striations in my shirt. But at the end of the day, you know, I do get annoyed with people saying that it does. It pisses me off. It makes me want to punch them in the mouth, to be honest. But I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, you know what, man? It's actually a compliment. It's actually a compliment, because at the age of 50, you still look freakish. Your arms still look freakish. So take it as a compliment, because it is. Other people, if they have to do something to make themselves look that way. But, you know, for me, I also look at it as they're robbing me from my natural talent. You know, I'm not giving me the accolade. But at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. And like I said, I'm not here to have to prove something to somebody at 50 years old. I'm 50. I got to honestly tell you, any person who's 50 years old and they're an idiot and still injecting themselves with different things, man, you really can't be freaking happy. I mean, you just can't be happy at all if that's what you have to do. I'm more concerned on just being healthy. I mean, I have a kidney transplant, you know, and I'll probably have to have another kidney transplant because my disease doesn't go away. So for me to jeopardize my life to have big arms, yeah, you've got issues if that's what you think about me. So right now I feel great. You know, there's some statistical facts about a transplant. You know, I had my transplant back in 2003. Was it? I think 2003. But yeah, 2003. So supposedly a kidney normally lasts about 7 years. So I'm a little bit extended on the 7-year part. As far as my disease, it's not hereditary. Actually, they still haven't figured out how it happens. It's a fairly new disease, meaning it's only about 30 or 40 years old. So there's not a lot of information on it. Health and science wasn't at its crest where it is now, so they can't go back and resume my grandparents and see if they had the disease or not. You know, I know my grandparents had died from various different organs failing, but disease hadn't been discovered at that time. So the last time I talked to him, which hasn't been, probably been maybe 6 years, I asked him those questions, was at that time it's the most rare and deadliest kidney disease known to man. There's no cure, and 90% of the people who have this disease end up dying from it unless they get a kidney transplant. I'll let you say that part because then I'll say more. That's even more. So what they told me back in '99 when I found out I had this disease, they said, you know, I think I was around 36 or something like this. They told me that, you know, that there's no cure for it and that I wouldn't make it out of my 40s before I died if I didn't have a kidney transplant. So at that time I knew that it was a serious situation, but like I said before, it was just hard to believe that I was sick when I looked at a picture of health. But what I asked him immediately, I said, you know, is this disease, is it because of my utilization of sports technology drugs? Is it because of my career that I chose and the drugs I have to use to look this way? And at that time they told me 100% no, that there's kids that have the same disease that are, you know, 9, 10, 13 years old, and they're on their second and third kidney from the same disease. So that helped me to understand that it wasn't something that I did. It's just for whatever reason I was chose to do this. You know, it's, you know, this disease and all diseases are bigger than me. You have people who have, you know, who's died from cancer. 9 years old, I started fighting when I was 9, so I fought all the way through my bodybuilding career also. When I won the California State Championship back in '89, I won that show on Saturday, and that Sunday I was at a tournament fighting again for the California State Championship and fighting. So, you know, flexibility was something that just came to me as a child because I stayed in martial arts. And I continued fighting even after I turned pro in martial arts and stuff like that. So it was just something normal, but I don't want to take credit for the splits because it wasn't my ideal. If anyone is old enough and remember, there was another competitor named Phil Hill. He was a professional competitor, massive legs. He was the first person I ever seen did the splits on stage as a professional, and I had an opportunity of meeting him. And he said, you know, we were talking and he knew about my martial arts background. He goes, man, you should do the splits on stage. I'm like, that's stupid. It's boring. Who wants to see that? It's like, no, I do the splits on stage. You know, it's unique to see someone muscular with flexibility like that. You should try it one day. And it was some show I was doing, I think, when I won the California State Championship. I did the splits on stage, and everybody thought it was a real big deal or whatever, but it's something natural. I was just flexible from being in martial arts for such a long time.
Следующий вопрос. Во сколько начинается твой день? Какой твой любимый завтрак? Ну, вообще, по поводу твоего распорядка дня многие интересуются. Я этот вопрос дополню. То есть, когда ты не в разъездах, когда ты дома, в основном чем ты занимаешься? Какие у тебя, может быть, увлечения? Я знаю, что ты любишь тюнинг автомобилей. Возможно, это тоже занимает часть твоего времени. Вот, пожалуйста, распорядок дня.
When I'm at home, I try to give my kids all my attention. You know, my son plays football in high school. My day normally starts just like any dad. You know, I wake up, I get my daughter dressed, and I comb her hair. You know, I wake my son up, take my daughter to school, come back and take my son to school, and I'm one of the coaches on the football team, and I go and I help out coaching, and you know, I try to fit my workout in right around between 11 and 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and the rest of the day when I'm not having to work, I try to make myself available for whatever my kids need me to do, because when I'm away, like now, I can't be of any assistance to them. So when I'm at home, I pretty much try to conform myself around either doing something with them or just actually just sitting in a house. If they need me, they can call me, or if I need to do something for them. But I'm pretty much like a creature of habit. I like to do the same thing every day. Yeah, I love cars and all that stuff, but I'm kind of moving out of that phase because now it's my kids' chance to spread their wings and fly. So I need to focus on what's necessary to help them try to achieve their dreams.
Следующий вопрос. Какие твои любимые методы повышения интенсивности тренинга? Может быть, негативные повторения, может быть, дроп-сеты, может быть, суперсеты?
I think today's athletes in bodybuilding make it so complex. They think way too much. Listen, it doesn't matter whether you superset, whether you do this movement or that movement. It doesn't matter whether you believe in eccentric movements. The point is get in there and just kill it in the gym. It's nothing that's going to outdo hard ass work on a consistent basis. That's the most important thing. People all now they're writing down, how they do this, or they need to do this drop set, or so-and-so has a special workout, I need to try that. Listen, at the end of the day, nothing's going to outdo hard-ass work and being consistently doing it. That's how you're going to get your gains. It doesn't really matter. Listen, at the end of the day, if that works for you, then go do it. Right? If supersetting works for you, go do it. If eccentric workout does it for you, go do it. Just go do it. Just freaking go do it and stop worried about this next great workout or so-and-so has another great workout plan. Listen, it's just all about hard-ass work. And there ain't no freaking way around it. You're not going to find it in a bottle. You're not going to find it in a freaking pen. You're not going to find it in a needle. It comes from your heart, and it comes from perseverance and just drive and mentality. And that's the reason why the success is so limited on bodybuilders succeeding, because they don't have that foundation of just dedication, perseverance, and just not scared of going in the gym and putting down some hard-ass work, period. Ain't gonna find it in a bottle. Simple as that.
Хочется задать какой-то вопрос не на тему уже тренировок. Вот, допустим, я считаю, незаурядный вопрос. Расскажи за какой-нибудь свой поступок, за который тебе стыдно.
Listen, what I've learned is everything that I've done from the first day I took my first breath, whether it was good or whether it was bad, whether it was good for me or bad for me, whether it was evil or not, everything has formed me into the person that I am today. And if you take away any of those things, good or bad, embarrassing or not, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. So I've learned to take the lemons that I've had in life and make lemonade out of them. I've learned that the bad experiences that I've been a part of, created or been involved in, that they're a learning tool that I have to learn from. So there's always, no matter what the scenario is, it's always something that you can learn from it. So there is no bad experiences. The only bad experience for me is something that you do and you continue doing and you haven't learned from it. That's a bad experience. But anything that you've gone through, good or bad, that's made you a better person or the person who you are, that's a positive experience.
Right.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And if any more of your viewers on Instagram, they have questions, we can go between our Instagram and answer them. It's no problem. Please also follow me on my Instagram, which is Official Flex Wheeler. I also have a YouTube page where I do a lot of videos also. Please follow me and subscribe on my YouTube page, which is The Official Flex Wheeler. Peace. I'll see you guys soon.
Увидимся.